Welcome back to Tickets to Travel, the business of travel experiences. I'm your host, Mario Bedouin, and today's guest is a man who doesn't just plan trips, he redefines them. Steve Pirie-Nally has carved out a visionary path across some of the world's most awe-inspiring destinations, blending entertainment, culture, and purpose in a way few others can. Whether it's throwing down with Diplo in Antarctica, through Unbound, reinventing spring break with Unleashed in Fiji, for thousands of Gen Z travelers, or building transformational family retreats with Reimagined, Steve is proving that travel experiences can do more than just entertain. They can educate, connect, and inspire. A pilot by trade, a cultural connector by nature, and a community builder at heart, Steve has helped put the South Pacific back on the map, literally, for American travelers. And if you're still thinking Fiji is 3 layovers and a canoe away, think again. With direct flights from the US and custom packaged experiences built for ease, meaning, and unforgettable memories, there's never been a better time to discover the magic of the islands. So if you're in travel, ticketing, or tourism, and especially if you work with artists, athletes, or family groups, take note. Steve's work is more than a business. It's a mission to build a global community rooted in joy, culture, and real connection. And we need partners, yes, you, to help bring it all to life. Because from Diplo to paddle tournaments, spring breakers to wellness retreats, this isn't just travel, this is transformation through travel experiences. So follow us on all the socials at Tix2TravelPod and visit tttpod.com because Tickets to Travel starts now. Welcome to Tickets to Travel, the business of travel experiences. I'm your host, Mario Bedouin, and today on the pod, we have Steve Pirie-Nally. Welcome to the pod, Steve.
Yeah, no, it's great to be here. Privilege.
I appreciate you saying that. I think when we first met, mainly probably because of the podcast, but also just being in the same world of merging travel and entertainment, I think we found some commonality. And so you've had a long career of doing this, and in particular in the South Pacific.
It is, yeah, South Pacific. Born and bred down this part of the world. Yeah, it's in my backyard, and it's given me some great opportunities, but also been able to create some amazing impact for these island nations down here.
I'm a California kid, and it was always an exotic thing to say, hey, I'm going to get to Australia, New Zealand, or Fiji. Or I think when we first started talking, it was about Bali. You were working on something in Bali.
Yeah, totally. So for me, I'm a pilot by trade. So I suppose, and it's inherited through multi-generations. So always had this exploration in my blood to go and explore the world. And New Zealand, that's what you have to do. You literally have to jump on a plane and you're in another country. So yeah, Bali is a great place for Australians and New Zealanders, and now globally, it's a hotspot. So yeah, we're actually looking at teaming up with the incredible company at Club Med around creating multi-generational experiences and festivals, because we know the trends post-COVID is that these baby boomers that have sold their houses and travel is number one on their list. But they want to travel with their families, and they want to travel and have enriching experiences, and they want to be able to build moments together. That's one of the projects that we're kind of working on at the moment. Yeah, but Bali also has a few sort of things that are not as safe and secure as maybe Fiji and the Pacific, which is literally a paradise, safe, secure, and easily accessible from everywhere, so especially the US, which again, we've spent a lot of time in Fiji, but now there's 4 direct flights out of mainland US, and it's an education piece for us because a lot of people think this Fiji water and this magical Fiji place is 3 flights in a canoe away, whereas actually it's you jump on a plane out of LA at 10 o'clock, you have a meal, have a sleep, and you wake up in paradise.
Looking for the hottest events, concerts, and experiences around the world? Look no further. Hello Tickets has you covered. From must-see concerts at sports games to unforgettable tours and Broadway shows, Hello Tickets gets you fast, secure, and hassle-free access to the best events worldwide. Skip the lines, book with confidence, and make every moment count. Visit HelloTickets.com today and say hello to your next adventure. Join the movement at Humanitix.com. Every time you buy a ticket, someone profits. At Humanitix, we believe that profits should have purpose. Our booking fees fund education, healthcare, and critical programs for those who need it most, not corporate bonuses. We're a nonprofit ticketing platform turning live events into global impact. So if you're hosting an event or just buying tickets, choose tickets for good, not greed. Join the movement at Humanitix.com. No, that's a bit, it's funny you say that because I was like telling my family, I'm like, hey, there's a couple of opportunities where we may get to go see Steve and, go and check out Fiji. And my son goes, do we get the water? Can we get the water? Is that something that's real? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's totally real. But I say that because it's like, it's kind of the only thing that Americans can relate to. Obviously, there's beautiful B-roll video and things online about it. Because I think to your earlier point, there's been a ton of influencers who are now based in Bali and are probably making their way to Fiji. And there's just a ton of just social media presence in general. Have you seen that really shift over the last few years? Is that something that you and your clients have capitalized on a bit or plan to?
Yeah, definitely. There's the sort of the influencer that are going to destinations, and some of these smaller tourism destination offices don't have these big budgets like a Dubai or a Saudi or these other destinations. So I kind of love to double click on the people of influence instead of the influencer. So they might be 100,000 followers, but they're a highly engaged audience. So we love to kind of, especially with the past company that I exited pre-COVID, where we looked at the spring break model in the US and took over 40,000 18-year-olds to Fiji and chartered islands, chartered planes, DJs and everything like that. It was not the influencers that moved the tickets. It was actually the people of influence and affiliate models that really moved the ticket in large numbers. Like we've also done an extremely awesome experience with Diplo in Antarctica where we chartered a ship and we had Diplo. People have probably seen that clip of him paying on the back of the boat. Diplo didn't actually move the tickets because it's a different type of experience. People are used to paying $150, $200, but when you're talking about $10,000 for an intimate experience, it was actually the wellness people on the cruise, the yoga instructor, Michael Seeley, that shifted and moved the tickets. So yeah, it's been really interesting to see what happened pre-COVID and what we can do with the limited budgets that we're working with some of these tourism, smaller operators.
So you partner with the various tourism boards in the South Pacific to help drum up events, various tourism initiatives, really targeted to Gen Z / millennials.
Definitely Gen Zs is where we started to play. Back in my 20s, as I said, I grew up in the Cook Islands and was the white kid with a grass skirt on in culture. And I pay heritage back to that because it was such an awesome learning experience outside the classroom. But then pulling that through when I was 23, we're like, instead of Australians going to the Gold Coast or like a Miami type of spring break vibe, why don't we take them away and create a new environment, a safe environment? And Fiji was that place where we chartered a whole island. It was only for 18-year-olds. So we didn't have any outside influence and it was just this incredible experience. And yeah, the Pacific have just got a few little tick boxes that just make it easy for Gen Z. And then we moved into different brackets, business events, retreats, experiences, and that sort of stuff. But yeah, we work with them.
It's interesting because, it's a far flight for us. If you're talking it's at least 10 to 12, right? From Los Angeles?
To 10 out of LA and 10 out of San Fran, 12 out of Dallas now, and then Vancouver. But what I love about, and to be honest, we've got some incredible communities, and our first exit was to a Toronto-based company. The time zones really work really well. Travel backwards and forwards. I find it easier traveling backwards and forwards to the US on a 10-hour flight than it is actually going, what you guys would do an East to West Coast trip is that 2-hour time difference. So jumping on a plane at 10 o'clock out of LA, once you've kind of finished the day, having a meal and going to sleep and waking up at 5 a.m. in Fiji and Paradise, it's an easy route to do. And then vice versa, you're going back, you're leaving at 10 o'clock at night, having dinner, you're going to sleep, and you're waking up at midday on the same day on a Sunday in LA. So it actually works really well from like a jet lag perspective.
That's interesting because that seems to be one of the bigger hurdles, because everything you've described up until this point, Steve, is very similar to the spring break business that's here in the States. To either you're going to Mexico or the Caribbean or other parts, maybe Florida, for example. It's about having a good time with your friends, having an entire experience, getting into a party. Obviously, there's an entertainment element to it. But again, it's shorter. And I think for parents in general who are maybe footing the bill for these trips, they're saying this is a pretty manageable thing. I've even heard there's a new trend where the parents actually go on spring break, but they stay in the house or something.
Yeah, it's definitely a big trend down this part of the world as well. It's like, okay, we're taking this opportunity. The kids are away. We're going to travel as well. So, yeah, definitely. It's a moving trend.
Right. But is it safe? We'll just go. I just heard this earlier this year. We're in Dominican Republic. There's a bunch of kids who are on a break there. And then we ran into a bunch of parents who were just staying in a villa close by. Let's just keep an eye on the kids kind of thing. But it becomes an experience for the entire family. But what I was getting at too is that there's probably a little bit of a hurdle to say to, let's say, someone who goes to UCLA who may want to spend spring break not in Cancun, but want to go to Fiji. And that barrier of the flight has probably been removed to a certain degree within your explanation, which I understand. I love to take a red eye and just wake up on the beach the next day. Are there other things that you've noticed that would be that you're solving for when trying to get access to the American market?
I think, and you've highlighted this on the podcast and the recent episodes in regards to packaging. So especially Gen Zs, actually all demographics, we deal with the whole spectrum, but people want ease. People are looking at AI as the prime example. We're trying to buy back time and being able to package things up complete. So it's a one-click experience. So yeah, you've got this education hurdle to get over with, especially North Americans traveling long distance, because it's just not built in DNA, but it is changing. So I've got to do more research around what that flight is, where I'm getting, and then where do I look for accommodation. So there just becomes more choices in the booking process, whereas what we found when we created Unleashed back in the day was that we packaged everything up. So it was a simple one-click type of cruise booking. So flights, transfers, accommodation, meals, experience was all wrapped up. And people were happy to pay a premium for that as well. And that's why it just became a rite of passage in certain parts of in Australia to do that. And I think the US is very similar, but a few more hurdles, because in the DNA in Australia and New Zealand, we used to fly into Fiji 3 hours, 4 hours. But the US, you've just got this other education piece.
It's interesting because even from a US perspective, when you talk to US travel suppliers, they love the Australian market because you typically are spending 20 days, I think, on average here in the States, that particular market. And so doing a 7th night free, for example, at a hotel is very lucrative for them. They can offer a longer discount because once they're here, they're a guaranteed booking. I'm curious if you see, one, you're trying to get Americans to come out to Fiji, for example. Have you taken any information from your particular sort of Gen Z college markets? And do you see similarities in how Americans would travel during the same time? Or is it completely different and you guys have to start from scratch?
There's definitely some similarities. We don't really have a spring break massive movement of travel down this part of the world versus America and North and other parts. That kind of comes down to our schooling as well. So, which is a kind of light bulb moment for us. So we have, instead of 2 semesters, which you guys have, and a big break in the middle of the year, we have more breaks throughout the year. So we have 4 terms of 12 weeks and then 2-week breaks. So I think it's great in some ways because you're spreading the load of peak travel across 4 periods instead of 2. So yeah, you have people going away at Easter. There's a 2-week window there. You have a 2-week window in July and a 2-week window in September, October. And then you have the 6-week over Christmas or our summer, which is like your summer break. So yeah, it spreads the load, but then from creating a spring break movement, so it takes a lot more from this side of things. But what I'm also seeing is a lot of influence happening from sport, entertainment, coming down to this part of the world. So NBA, or sport, college sport, NBA, NFL, like they're all coming down to this part of the world. And one, it's attracting talent and it's attracting fans to travel long distances. As you said, Australians will fly to North America and they'll do an NBA game in LA and they might go to a football game, a college, and then something else. So they're buying 15 days worth of travel plus tickets plus accommodation. So the spend's through the roof. And again, one of my mentors is in that space, and just there's this massive acceleration curve of sport travel. And that probably comes back to Netflix. I was having a great conversation with him as Netflix has been this incredible free marketing advertising, like the drive to survive. And typically the main purchase has been the man on the couch, but actually the wife is sitting down and watching and going, oh, that trip in Monaco looks pretty good. You're going to watch the race? Well, let's go. So I think some of these documentaries on Netflix is really driving travel inspiration as well.
There are quite a few themes of this happening. And, the F1 with the film coming out, but also there's a definite correlation between the F1 series on Netflix and increased attendance at each one of the races. And just overall awareness, because it wasn't really an American sport, right? It's a global sport. But now you've got so many people bought into it. Everyone who wants to get to Las Vegas or they want to get to Mexico City or one of these venues to actually experience a race, because it is an experience. I haven't been yet myself, but it's going to happen very soon. And so I think you're right. There's all this media emphasis that really promote the destinations around the sports that are there. Sports are such a driver of travel in general. And so are there any upcoming things that you can think of that would drive Americans to get to your destinations?
Yeah, obviously 2028 is the Olympics in LA, but that's obviously going to fuel this huge drive in 2032, which is Brisbane, the Olympics. So we know that's just a global movement to travel. Yeah, obviously we've had, I'd say niche sports to the globe, but huge number one sports down here, like Rugby World Cup. Actually, the Soccer World Cup happened down here last year. So yeah, we're starting to attract these really big sports, and the biggest of them all with the Olympics. So I think 2032, this next 4 years, you can see this massive influx of teams coming down here. The Rams are coming down, next year. Yeah, there's just going to be this lovely cross-pollination of inspiring people to travel that way, and then people inspired to come down here. Cruise lines, deploying more cruise lines down here, doing that sort of stuff. And that's something really niche is thematic cruises that happen massively. And North America is doing that down here. We ran an entrepreneur's cruise where cruise at sea, learn, connect with Virgin Voyages, which was a great partnership. But yeah, just seeing much more diverse products happening down here and these big events that are attracting large crowds.
Tired of overpriced tickets and sketchy promoters? Discotheque is your personal nightlife concierge. Discover guest lists, discounted tickets, and VIP tables in cities around the world. Whether you're booking EDC in Vegas or a yacht party in Croatia, Discotheque gets you in with over 1.9 million downloads and real-time push alerts for the best deals. Save money, party smarter. Download Discotheque on iOS or Android today. Looking to upgrade your ticketing game? TickStock is your all-access pass to smarter, faster ticket distribution. Say goodbye to clunky systems and hello to real-time inventory, streamlined operations, and global reach. All in one sleek platform. Whether you're a reseller, rights holder, or event pro, TickStock connects you to the world. TickStock.com, where tickets move smarter. I think as Americans, we forget about the South Pacific as a market to develop as well. Whether it's LA Rams going there or Diplo going to Antarctica, have you found it tougher to maybe book talent or to attract these type of either sports properties or entertainment properties to do those things there? Or because it's got to be a bit of a sales pitch from your perspective to say, hey, have you considered this? We have the venues and the capacity and the flights. Is that something that you work on?
Yeah, I definitely think there's much respect to the big players in the game of huge festivals like the Coachellas, the Live Nation tours and everything like that. It's just not a place I'm interested in regards to that's a big fish to fry. So what we've always been able to double click on is like, how do we work with an artist and their team and collaborate and build something together? Unfortunately, when we're down this part of the world, we have to collaborate because we go to war as Anzacs, right? It's like on the battlefield. So like, how do we collaborate and win things together? So we sit down with talent and we're like, okay, how do we build something that you're excited about, that your content team is excited about? But more importantly, how do we really look after your super fans? So that's where we navigate sort of talent. And then there's some talent out there that they're on that trajectory and that window that it's like, we need to pay more bigger shows. That's where we make the money because we're never going to be able to match the same fee as playing in front of 40,000 people. Yeah, so it's very about co-development. Working with a couple of bands and artists right now is let's develop a travel product with you, for you, around you, and build a longevity plan to it. Yeah, with the Jimmy Buffett went to Antarctica. It's how do you do those things that have longevity past potentially just the prime time of playing on stages in front of hundreds of thousands of people.
We talk about this a lot because with artists and promoters, managers, doing the traditional tours are one, very expensive to do. They're very taxing. You're traveling the entire time. That's why the onset of residency have made a lot of sense in Las Vegas. But also doing exactly what you're talking about is creating a travel product. So whether it's a combination, it's a vacation and a performance, and you get to really connect with your super fans. I think you're right with companies like Vibey, and there's a few other like Groove Cruise and others that are like, they find the artist and they curate these type of packages to get them really excited. And they plan these things out, right? Like on a quarterly basis or to try to figure out. So it sounds like you're involved in trying to do the same thing, whether it's finding the right talent and matching them up with the destination to create this destination festival.
Yeah, 100. And building it into an annualized experience. So instead of just committing to one show or one event, one experience, it's like, how do we build a pipeline of 5 years and multiple destinations and move it around like a tour, but over 5 years. And it's very intimate. It's most of the time it's shoulder tapping in regards to inviting people to the event or the experience. And then it's also finding up and coming talent as well, which we are really excited about. So it's like, okay, you've just broken through. And again, it comes back to my first comment is instead of the influencer, it's the people of influence, that you've got these super fans that are traveling across state or just following that person or that band. That's enough for us. We don't want 100,000 people. We don't want 10,000 people. We want 180 people to pay $7,000 a ticket and have that intimate experience. So, yeah.
That sounds like a deal.
But there's a massive market out there in regards to, like, we know, right? You brought up the whole Taylor Swift movement. Is that it was cheaper to fly from Australia sometimes up to Toronto to go to a show or Paris or something like that. People just, especially Gen Zs, it's like experiences over things. It's like they're happy to jump on a plane and go and experience a moment with their friends. So group travel, it's where I've always played and got me excited because there's no better thing than traveling with your mates and a group and meeting new groups, because sell them what they want, travel and experience, give them what they need, which is friendship, belonging, community. Yeah, they do things again together.
You hit the nail on the head there with the community piece. That seems to be a common theme when I do these super fan travel stories podcasts where they just want to be in the building, be able to sing the same songs, wear the same t-shirt, exchange friendship bracelets, things like that. It got to a point where I think some of these entertainment companies are just looking at the dollar and they're not developing the community. And so I think like these bespoke trips, these travel experiences really encourage that and also add to the longevity of that artist or that program, that sport. So I'm just curious, like, what do you think is the next wave for you in terms of the type of content that you would like to provide? Because there's obviously, we talked about sports briefly and we talked about different artists that you work with, but what do you think is the next trend for travel to Fiji, for example?
Yeah, we can double click on community, right? So community is everything for me. It's whether I'm part of a mastermind community and travel to the US and there's something down this part of the world called tall poppy syndrome. One poppy grows taller than the other, it's quickly shot down. So to be able to, travel to North America and connect with great people like you and community and open source in regards to co-creation is amazing. And that kind of flows through into events and experiences. So whether it was Unleashed back in the day, it was, we created a travel event, but actually we created a community. And some of those people are still working for that company 14 years on, which just can't pay for in regards to creating that type of community. I think the blending of multiple components into an experience, like just going to music festival or just going to a sports event, people are going to seek more. So when I'm going to that sports event, I'm happy to pay more to have, what is it called? The party in the car park. I also want to meet people that have been super fans and have a dinner with them. And I'm happy to pay $3,500 for that experience because it's intimate. So I think there's going to be this sort of shakedown in regards to the intimacy of events and experiences that people are willing to pay a premium for. There's always going to be the mass, but then there's going to be all these splinters that happen in regards to, no, I want to dive deeper onto that. And there's all these niches that are exploding. Yeah, we see how many people that travel for Comic-Con around the world, the amount of people that are running a marathon on 7 continents and paying $40,000. Space is the next frontier, which I know people in that space, it's like, there's no better time to be in travel events and experiences and ticketing with this explosion of baby boomers. Our parents-in-law just came back after a huge 6-week trip. They are about investing in moments and experiences with themselves, their friends, and their families. And then Gen Zs are like, I'm not going to be able to afford a house. I'm going to live an amazing, awesome experience with my mates, and maybe we'll buy a house together. So I just think we're in a really exciting time.
One thing I wanted to understand is because there's just lack of knowledge about Fiji in particular, what's the perfect experience? What artists, what type of venue, how would you build something that would attract the US audience?
Yeah, so I'm actually working on a couple of projects in different genres right now. So, one in the sports sphere and a niche sport that is growing pretty quickly in North America. I don't want to give too much away because nothing's been signed, but there's this movement of these new sports that are growing, and it's also getting pickleball, paddleball,
padel.
There's so many of them popping up because it's become more accessible. I'm a father. I have five beautiful kids. Do I really want them to go into contact sport or rugby? Because there's so many injuries, head concussions. These people are bigger, stronger, faster. But so all these other sports that are maybe not as technical, or like tennis. I played tennis, serving, you take that out of it, makes it way more accessible. So being able to take tournaments to paradise is a big shift for me. So Fiji, bringing a tournament and experience there so Spartan happened there last year and they had 3,000 participants from 23 countries coming in, doing a challenge. We know Hydrox is a massive movement. People travel for Hydrox. So that is one thing that we're pulling. There's no better country on planet Earth, I don't believe, that can do and showcase happiness, culture, and like you walk into a village in Fiji and you're greeted. There's an energy about the place, whether you're spiritual or not. It's like there's an energy when you get off the plane and you're just like, God damn, these people are happy. So sport is one thread. And then from Unbound in the experience, like with my 5 kids, how are they going to celebrate the end of school? They're going to travel with their friends. They're going to learn things outside the classroom, and they're going to experience culture because it's going to give them this worldly perspective that I feel like with AI and everything like that, perspectives is everything. You have a greater perspective, and that's what travel and tickets to travel really give you. It's like whenever you get off a plane, how often are we ever looking down at our screen? We always get off and we're inspired by what's in front of us. So that's what travel can do for us. So yeah, the Unbound experience is a reimagined spring break university experience where people can come together. They can navigate transition. Right now, there's so much uncertainty around transitioning out of high school to college or career to entrepreneur. And so I'm big in that space, and we've run a lot of business events and experiences. You create a container, you bring people into a container and environment and a safe one to see what magic happens. And that's what happened in Antarctica last year with 153 entrepreneurs, leaders coming down there. And yeah, the conversations that happened, and a $50 million impact fund was created over someone having a cup of coffee on the back of the boat. So yeah, again, I come back to this travel community experiences is where magic really happens.
Yeah, it's cultural for you guys there, because I didn't travel up until I had worked at Expedia, and I was already maybe 26, 27 years old, and I decided to take a break, and I cashed out some stock. Very unwise thing to do, but like I did it because I wanted to travel. So I took a break, and I traveled through Europe for 3 months and throughout North America for another month. And then I said, I'm going to figure my life out when I get back. But I learned this about people in Australia, New Zealand and such, because as I had some very good friends, obviously being in the online travel world, where I got comps in different cities. And when I didn't have a comp, Steve, I would stay at a hostel. And that's where I would connect with Australians and New Zealand. And they were kids. Here I am, 27 years old. I've done a lot of stuff in the States, but here are these guys who are like 17, 18, young kids traveling. And maybe there are probably groups of like 3 or 4 guys or 3 or 4 girls just traveling throughout Europe, and no plan. They're just doing their own thing. And every day was like, what are you doing today? We're going to go with you or not. And I think that's really the magical thing about the culture there, is that, one, you allow your kids to do that right when they get out of what we would call high school here, to go out and do that before they get to college and really handle a little bit more responsibility. But how does that culture get ingrained in all of you? Is it something that you lived or was just generational? Because I think it's a different thought for people here in the US to let their kids go and do that for a few months.
This question comes up quite a bit. And I suppose I'm fortunate that, yes, we've got this Pacific paradise of growing up in the Cook Islands, which is a magical place. I've done a lot of work and business and impact in Fiji. I'm a Kiwi, but I'm married to an Australian. So I really do have this melting pot of influence and culture around me. And the question comes up of even the differences between New Zealand and Australia is America, Canada. Yeah, put it down to, at the end of the day, we're part of the Commonwealth. And so we were colonized from the UK, if I want to go all the way back. So there's always this seek of like people going, okay, we were colonized, so we want to go and travel and see the world and go exploring. And it's just, whether it was the gap year or opportunities abroad, like definitely like from a business point of view, there's only 4 million people in New Zealand. So if we are looking at global, there's companies like Rocket Lab or Xero or events and experiences. You've got to go traveling to explore and grow. But the culture is definitely a big thing, right? We have such a diverse culture, New Zealand, rich, and Australia, with all the islands are so close. So we literally have 6 or 7 different nationalities that are landing on our doorstep and being part of our economy and shifting it and moving. And that comes down to sports, events, experiences. It's really woven. And I'm super grateful and privileged that New Zealand has this like deep lineage back to Maori culture. And like my kids even learn it still at school. And it's like this connection part to the past is super powerful. And then Australia's got obviously, the Aboriginal culture and going all the way back. So we're really lucky. And sometimes you've got to go traveling to feel like how lucky you are when you go back home.
And so I was thinking about, as we were talking through the kids again, or the college trips, and we were talking about trends. One of the trends that keep coming up is sober spring break and wellness spring break. Is this something that you have also noticed in your markets? And is this something you're developing?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, again, past company with Unleashed, it's like the 10 years I was involved from startup through to exit was, you saw these trends. It was at the start, it was like, okay, how many, like we had to control drinking and we did that from a wristband and whatever. And then it moved to, okay, people are talking about other things that they do back home, obviously. And then the last 2 years that I was there, it was like mental health. We saw people where I was obviously had medical disclaimers. It's like, wow, anxiety, depression is really on the rise. And we really had to cater around how that looks like. Because if you mix antidepressants and alcohol, it's not good. And then, yeah, in the last 2-3 years, it's like the amount of people that are like, I do not want to wake up with a hangover. We want to go and do a hike. So yes, massive shift. Like I'm talking 20 to 30% of total travelers and looking at alternative experiences. And yes, we are building for that. So yeah, yoga, hydrox. Hydrox, one of the fastest growing sports, right? And the participation level of young people at 16 all the way through to 80. So there's a massive movement. So I think that whole wellness, I used to be in the wellness space. Past chapter is that, yeah, longevity, wellness, travel to reset, recover, reimagine is everything. And that's, yeah, we built something in Fiji this October, which is called Reimagine for exact that reason, where it's like it's the first business retreat for families. Because we've noticed it's like families always have to make a choice sometimes. It's like, okay, dad's on the road lots, mum's on the road lots, who's staying behind to look after the kids? And we're like, imagine if we created a fully inclusive experience where we actually bring in these amazing facilitators, to which we call future citizen, to help. It's like a education outside the classroom, fun, play, creativity with the kids that come. And then the adults get to learn about business, connect, and all that sort of stuff. So we've wrapped this up in this experience in Fiji, because then you don't have to make the choice. Let's invest as family, because we know there's personal development, there's business development, but what's most important right now is family development. And we just read an article yesterday, the Wall Street Journal, next mega trend in travel is family multi-generational trips. And there's one in New Zealand for $80,000 for a week, and it's sold out for the next 2.5 years. So yeah, it's really interesting. I'm excited. And the people like yourself that's connecting the dots in the travel industry and opening up these ideas, because as I said, I'm a collaborator. It's like more people diving into this family stuff and events, experiences and moments is going to help this next generation. How do we be best stewards on planet Earth to help shift this next generation?
I'm all for it, man. And I think that's a good place to stop our conversation, because you've covered so much in terms of being opened up to new cultures, breaking into student group travel into the US, to talking about sports and entertainment as a driver of travel. And of course, now family and business being merged because of travel and influence. So thank you for your time. I know that you're going to come back and we're going to talk more about different things, but I really appreciate you coming on the pod.
No worries. Love your work and what you're doing and shining a light on tickets and travel.
Awesome. Thank you. What an inspirational ride with Steve Pirie-Nally, founder, operator, and all-around trailblazer, redefining what it means to travel with purpose. From staging unforgettable experiences like Diplo in Antarctica to pioneering Gen Z spring breaks in Fiji, to now crafting wellness-forward, multi-generational family retreats, Steve is building a new model for meaningful travel in the South Pacific. He doesn't just sell trips, he curates communities, connects cultures, and creates once-in-a-lifetime moments that change the way people see the world and themselves. If you're in ticketing, travel, or tourism, and you're not watching what Steve's doing, you're already behind. Follow Steve's journey and learn more about his work by connecting with him on LinkedIn. And for more episodes that explore the future of travel and experiences, follow us at Tix2TravelPod and visit tttpod.com. And remember, every ticket is a ticket to travel. Safe travels. Scrolling is listening. Your brand needs standout audio for social media, and Expo Travel Media makes it happen. Ear-catching radio spots, dynamic social media voiceovers, custom sound design that pops. We craft audio that stops the scroll and keeps your audience engaged. Whether it's a quick promo, a full campaign, or a killer ad, we bring the voice, music, and production magic to make it all shine. Let's make audio content that works. Visit expotravel.com for media production inquiries today.